Okay, this is Gladys here for a brand new series. Don't know what I'm going to call this yet, but here with me I've got ROCKJUNKY01. Say hello.
Hey, howdy.
And we're here to do a total improv discussion on all things Battlefield. And I've got some subjects here that we can choose from. My first thing I want to start it off with, and I want you to go first with this, is what's your favorite expansion that they've released so far and why?
All right. Do you want me to say what I like about each, or just my favorite? Just
Let's just go with your favorite because I've got a lot of things for us to talk about here.
back to Karkand. Just They're just more.
They're
Everyone,
just
everyone,
more.
everyone got a little something. Everyone.
I think we're at opposite ends of the spectrum here. I don't really care too much for Back to Karkand. I don't find myself ever to put the pun in there. I don't go back to Karkand really very often.
Well, you get 10 guns, so it's not a total loss.
Right.
And the maps, they're somewhat varied. You get the little urban ones and the large ones like Gulf of Oman, or close quarters. It's close quarters. I mean, you can't put a different spin on it. But the guns are good. I will say that.
Yeah. I like the guns with all of the packs really. Now I haven't unlocked all of them because there's some that I just don't care for, and I'm not an achievement or so I'm not going for all the unlocks in the game. I really only go for like what's practical for me. But for the maps, I just don't find myself enjoying those as much. I think that now that we've got Armored Kill and we've had 3 packs come out, my favorite that I go back to play, not to say that it's the most balanced or the best, but what I find myself going back to is close quarters. Just because it's so fun, getting everybody in there, and that was the one that I was dreading the most before it was released. So that's kind of weird, but I think Back to Karkand's got to be my least favorite. I like Armored Kill still better than that.
I like Armored Kill, but if you don't like the maps, you're screwed. I mean, you can't. There's no guns. You're hosed.
Well, there's no guns, but there's new vehicles. That
But
opened up.
only on those maps.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, while we're on the subject here, for tank superiority, I think that one of the biggest failings that they have is not having artillery at each deployment zone. I
Or
think that would have
tanks.
been awesome. Well, yeah, yeah, of course, the lack of tanks and tank superiority is a questionable move by Dice for sure. Um, but but I think that having artillery at either deployment zone would have been really really cool to put in there, so they could just really pound the battlefield.
Well, then you're gonna have people are gonna sit in the spawn point with a can of camp sauce, and you're not gonna get them because unless you have the artillery move up and take them out, your team's kind of hosed because you can't get close to the objective.
I don't know, like, well, there's already camping going on because of all the vehicles that are getting destroyed and they have to spawn back in there. But I think for the most part, it wouldn't add any more people sitting in corners with camp
Well,
sauce,
it's gonna
but
be,
because it's only the one slot available in that
but
vehicle.
it's gonna be those rockets that destroy everything. One good burst will rock your world. So you get someone who knows what they're doing, and only got to sight in one target. So
That's true.
yeah.
I don't know. I like the idea. I don't know how it would actually play out, of
Unless they
course.
did
And
something like the mortar where you can't deploy it in your spawn.
yeah, I don't know. Something to think about there. Now we touched on this the other day. We've only played together a couple times. I want to talk about hardcore just for a little bit.
Okay.
So give me reasons to play a hardcore as a non-hardcore player.
Um, you kill people faster. Number one, you gotta, your 30 rounds goes so much further than 1, 2 kills. You can get 6.
Hmm.
You gotta work as a team, so it's teamwork. The whole name of Battlefield right there. If you spell it backwards, it probably spells teamwork.
We'll
So
have to check that.
yeah, you gotta work as a team. You gotta, you get more out of it. You really, there's, if you don't like Doritos, I mean, it's, no.
That was the thing that I had brought up. It's like, okay, yeah, like for me, I think the whole game experience is built around playing in what everybody calls softcore, playing in normal mode. For me, that's how it was designed, and hardcore is that extra mode for those exactly what it says, the hardcore players. It just feels unbalanced to me because all the tweaks that we do to the weapons with every patch, everything that gets released, they have to adjust things all over the place to make sure it's balanced and fair. And when you go into hardcore with the reduced health and all that stuff, and like you said, it's easier to kill, it's also easier to be killed. Like, all the weapon modifications that they do in the patches become meaningless because everything is just as deadly as everything else.
Exactly.
Like
it's a gun. It kills people.
It's true, but I mean, I could get nailed from a shotgun, 400 meters away in hardcore. And, in the game, obviously, we are not in reality, like I could still get killed, from that far. But in the game, it feels like total bullshit. Like it to me, it feels like when you're in a firefight, there's less skill involved because those guys that are just spraying around corners, they're going to get you. And you don't have much of a chance like that. Like, it doesn't feel like it's balanced to me when I play it.
Well, I started on softcore. I didn't know there was a hardcore mode. And then, by magic, I found the server browser and the server settings. And I played hardcore, and I talked to some guy. He's really cool. We play all the time, but we only play hardcore. That's why I like it, because you got to play it a little bit before you start to like it.
Yeah.
At first, it is a pain. Then you play it enough, you start to like it.
Now, I had played a couple matches on the number 6 dance, one of the PS3 BF3 servers, and they had like what they called hardcore light, to where it's like they had, they have some things in there.
They have no health gain. You took some stuff.
That was still there, and then
but you had full health. You had 100% health.
Yeah. And then there was a couple other things I can't remember now, but like I would also love to spawn on the rest of my team, not just a squad leader.
Yeah, that's a drawback.
Yeah. And then the Doritos. I want that 3D spotting. Like nacho cheese Doritos are delicious. Why not put them in the game?
But they work both ways.
Yeah.
You can't sneak around the map because someone wants your Dorito. They want to eat you.
I don't know. I think like a hardcore light would be what I would play, but playing pure hardcore, I just get frustrated so easily. I don't know.
I do switch every now and then, and close quarters, you cannot play hardcore because it's just clusterfuck central.
Yeah, I won't go near that. No way. So moving on here, let's see. If you were to get into a game with a brand new player, doesn't know anything about Battlefield, nothing at all, what would be some advice that you would want to give that guy?
As cliche as it is, GTFO. And to play the objective and just play your class.
Yeah. That's pretty much as far as I go with it too. Definitely, not only is it advantageous for you to play the objective because you get more points for it, you get attack and defend points and obviously capture points, but that's where all the action's at, so I think you'll adapt quicker to the game, like the more action in there, not just the more you play it, but the more that you actually fight and, do all the stuff in the game that you're able to do. So playing the objective is definitely a must, but find a group of guys, I would say, is a big thing. Find a group of guys that you can latch onto and play with. Like, once you start playing with friends and you start communicating with them and everything like that, the game opens up so much more.
It's more. Because when I started playing, I was acquiring internet from other sources. And I didn't have a microphone, so I had to be everything. I had to be an engineer and a medic all at the same time. I can adapt to stuff and you learn. You play by yourself for a while, you learn things because you don't have anybody to help you. You gotta kind of pick things up on your own, so you kind of learn. And then when you start playing a squad, it makes everything easier.
Yeah.
Have some guy do this, you do that. It kind of things easier. When you're by yourself, and especially if you're new and you never played Battlefield, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it was a rough transition, I could imagine, for new players. Like me and the clan that I'm in, we obviously all transitioned at the same time. We were playing the beta, and then when it released, we were playing together. So it's always been a group thing for us. It's never been flying solo. So it's been a long time since we've had to do that. But let's continue here. Now I want to talk about Battlefield Premium. What do you think that it's worth it as a package, or do you think that we're getting boned? Because that seems to be what a lot of people have the mindset for.
it depends. It sometimes it seems, yes, this is an amazing investment of $50, or yes, this was, I'm glad I stole this from my friend. But sometimes, no. Like the bonus content that came out last month, the coloring book thing they
Yeah.
gave us. I mean, that enhanced my Battlefield a lot. I'm glad. So is sometimes if you look at it in terms of just the DLCs, you're saving like $20.
Hmm.
So you're saving money if you just for the DLCs. But if you want all the fancy camouflages to make you look fabulous in the battlefield, you're kind of getting boned.
Yeah, and that's what I try to tell people to focus on. If somebody asked, like I responded to a couple of the posts on Reddit where people were asking if premium was worth it, and my thing that I always push for them is it's only worth it if you're gonna stick with the game, if you know you're gonna keep playing.
Yeah.
Because if you gonna get all the expansion packs, it's cheaper to buy premium, and especially now because it's like you could go out and get the premium edition of Battlefield for $60. Or is it 70? 60 or 70? I don't know, one or the other. Yeah.
70.
Okay. Well, either way, that's now cheaper than, we paid $110 total. We bought
Yeah.
the game and then bought premium. So, I don't like how fast the price has been reduced on it because I do feel a little cheated out of that.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But again, with all the expansion packs, I have no regrets. And sort of on the same topic here, all the options they have to where you can buy all the kit upgrades and all the vehicle upgrades and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I was originally like, wow, that's a crazy amount of bullshit because people could just waltz in and have better guns than me hypothetically if I hadn't unlocked them already, But I was thinking about it further, and this is the consensus that I had with the rest of the clan as well. We're all on the same page here, is that we've earned all the progress that we've made, with the classes and with all the weapons and vehicles and everything. Like, it's a learning process whenever you get something
Yeah,
new.
you know how to use it effectively.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
It's
the
not
game
a shiny
changer.
new gun. It's a gun
Yeah.
you can kill. It happens to be shiny.
Exactly. It's not just a gun; it's a gun that kills. So, yeah. I mean, that's the difference for me is that we have that experience.
Yeah.
That the time is allowed, and these new players that are coming in and buying everything straight out of the gate, they don't know shit about these guns and how they work.
Yeah. They ain't got their shit buckets yet.
Exactly. Still don't have an option to buy shit buckets from Battlefield. Now this is something that I've been looking ahead with, and I've talked to a few people about it, but not really on a wide scale. So, Battlefield 4 is being developed for the same console generation we're on now. So PS3 and Xbox 360 are going to see Battlefield 4, and I think that's a negative thing, and I'm going to explain why first, and then we're going to go to you. I think that as big of an advancement that Battlefield 3 was over Bad Company 2, or even like the rest of the shooters that are out today, like it looks fucking gorgeous, it plays beautifully, and it's so in depth. Like it's got such a range to it that it's a fucking great game. I love it. I've put over 300 some odd hours into it right now, and I plan to put just as many more in. And it's that good, but it's also a step backwards from Bad Company 2 in the sense of like the destruction capabilities, and it didn't improve on the size of the players or the size of the squads. So it's really just a visual enhancement since Bad Company 2. And moving like that, I don't see them moving forward with the same console. And it's probably going to be using Frostbite 2, the same engine for the game. I don't see them moving forward and adding super destruction capabilities similar to Bad Company or Bad Company 2. So I think it's just going to be as good or maybe slightly improved visually with the graphics. But I don't see us getting more players because they've already told us that that's the handicap. The consoles can't handle more players with those graphics. I think it'll be totally unacceptable for them to decrease the graphics. So again, yeah, I don't think we're getting more players. I don't think the squad setup is going to change at all, and I don't think it's going to look much prettier, and we're not getting more destruction. So all in all, it's going to be practically the same game, unless they totally revamp it and take it in a different direction, and I don't expect them to do that either. So I'm viewing practically all negatives for Battlefield 4 on the same console generation, especially because we're looking at maybe 2 or 3 years, and we're probably going to get some new consoles. So, what is your response and thoughts on that?
Well, you said how is destruction-wise it's a step back. I don't entirely agree with that. I never played Bad Company online, but I did play the game, so I know what you're talking about. Destruction is much more wide scale. You blow the shit out of everything. On here, it's dropped a little bit back, pulled back, but it's a different series. It's Battlefield, but it's not Bad Company. And if you play the campaigns, this is more grounded in reality. Well, that's well, not quite cartoony, but fictional.
Right.
You know,
It's more actiony than reality oriented.
yes, and it's funny and somewhat, and the gameplay was different. This is different. And
Yeah, but what I mean by the destruction is
Yeah.
that you could take out, like, if you're playing
Everything.
on Bad Company 2, playing multiplayer, you could level every single building in there. Like, there was nothing that was not destructible, almost. And then on here, it feels the opposite. Like, you can take
A
out
little
some
bit.
walls,
Yeah.
and there's only a handful of buildings on the map that you can take out, but most of the structures are static. They're non-destructible. It seems like it's just a lot more particle effects.
I wouldn't mind seeing more destruction, but not quite to the scale of Bad Company. Somewhere more of a happy medium between the two that we have now. And with the player count, how the DICE said they can, I'm not quite sure. I'm not how this works, but I'm not sure if it's actually the console that can. Maybe the DICE doesn't want to, because Eve Online is coming out later this year. I'm not sure it's gonna suck or not. I've heard bad things, but it's gonna have 48 players.
Wait, you're talking about Dust?
Yes, my bad. It does.
Okay, gotcha.
That's gonna have
Gotcha.
48 players on PlayStation, and that's gonna be part of the largest online game ever, or something like that.
Yeah.
Why can't DICE do that with their servers? You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
they said it wasn't a server-side issue. It was that they couldn't, like, they said it was a hardware issue. They said the PS3 couldn't handle the graphics and all the effects going on. Like, the engine wouldn't run properly on consoles with more players than what's in it now. And again, it's purely, I think, the engine's fault that they're using here, Frostbite 2. And I'm not too well versed in, like, the technicalities of different engine types and what they do, but MAG came out 3 years ago, almost 4
Yeah.
years ago. I think in February it'll be 4 years, and that had 256 players on the same Battlefield, and it didn't look like shit. Graphics wise, obviously it didn't compare to a lot of the games that we're playing now, but the technical feat of having 256 players on a map with little to no lag was huge. I mean, a landmark. So I don't see, really, like, the engine that they're using. If it's that intensive on the system, I would try to revamp that hardware, or not the hardware, but the engine. Yeah.
But MAG, you couldn't blow buildings up.
Right. No
And-
destruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was there vehicles? I don't remember.
Yeah, there were vehicles.
Okay, but you couldn't blow anything up. You're not going to shoot through a wall, and that takes a lot of processing power. So there's not many games that offer that. you
Right.
know? So I think if they were to take away destruction, they could, 64 players easy. But if you take away destruction, so what? It's not Battlefield anymore.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that I would say is, like, since it's not too much of a technical leap between Bad Company 2 and Battlefield, and they did scale back on the wholesale destruction for Battlefield 3, what I would like to see, if they're going to do a release on the same console generation, is maybe even scale back the graphics just a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I want more players. I feel like 32 players or 36 would be ideal to play Battlefield. I think 24 is just too small on a lot of the maps that we have.
I think 32 or 30 something would be a good number, because you get bigger teams, and obviously it'll fit the maps that we have now since they are scaled down. But another reason I don't think this is such a complaint on Bad Company is Bad Company was built on console and then ported to the computer, so it scaled better.
Yeah.
Battlefield 3 is built on the computer and scaled to consoles, so that's why we get these goofy maps with awkward flag setups, and the player count's funny. because we got shafted this time, whereas last time everybody was happy.
Right. Okay. So let's see here. My last one I want us to talk about here. We're just past the 20-minute mark. With weapons, and again, because we haven't really played together, we don't know each other's like what we normally do. So for the weapons here, do you find yourself sticking to like a certain few favorites, or do you try to have a lot of variation in what you use?
I have a few favorites that I, change the attachments every now and then to different situations. But every now and then, I'll just get bored and use some super off-the-wall gun with random ass attachments and just probably get owned, but enjoy it. Just every now and then try something different, but still.
Yeah. Well, what I try to do, huh?
I have my bread and butter weapons I go to.
Bread and butter weapons. What I try to do now is like after spending so much time in the game, and obviously like when I was first starting out, I found a couple good weapons. Obviously the M16A3, the M416, the M4A1. These were all around well balanced weapons for any situation. Yeah. So going to those was what I relied on when I was first starting the game. I put a lot of time into those first, and then I slowly have been expanding. But like for players that have a lot of playtime, if you find yourself sticking to the same set of weapons, what I just started doing, and I'm only partially through the list that I have, is take a look through battle log or through your dog tags and see what you don't have service stars for, and push yourself through and try to find weapons like that and use them and get a service star with them so you have some experience with them. That's a cool little goal that I've put myself to now, and I've been trying to go through. So that I would definitely suggest that for players that stick to the same amount of weapons.
Yeah. M16 is way overused, and now it's kind of can't see any.
Yeah. Well, we just got the nerf to it.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see what the repercussions are from that. Okay. So that'll just about do it, I think. Yeah, we're at the 22-minute mark, so I don't want to push it too much further. This is the first episode of something. I haven't decided a name for this series. But yeah, we're going to be doing just collaboration conversations. And that's definitely not going to be the name of the series. That sounds like some science pun. I don't know why. It just sounds like something Bill Nye would say.
Bill Nye, the Battlefield guy.
The Battlefield guy. Yeah, I could see it. Okay.
Dr. Phil on Battlefield.
Dr. Phil. Who would he be? I don't think
he'd be the engineer.
Yeah, no, I was picturing support. I think Bill Nye would be the engineer. I could see him with his little blowtorch trying to talk about some science shit. Totally getting random and disoriented here. All right, so that'll about do it for here. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Yep. And stay tuned. We'll be having more conversations like this. Make sure you subscribe and add us on Facebook. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the battlefield.